Some stories don't begin with clarity, they begin with a feeling, the kind that sits behind their ribs, whispering that something is missing. Summer Pockets opens with Hairi stepping onto a quiet island and muttering a line that sounds almost too poetic for him. A wounded bird of passage has come to the island. He doesn't know why he says it. He laughs it off, embarrassed, like the word slipped out from a place his mind hasn't reached yet. But the island hears him, and so does the story. Because the Summer Pockets anime isn't really the tale of a boy arriving somewhere new, it's the story of a heart returning to a place it's forgotten. A place where summers don't pass, they wait. Welcome to part 1 of a 5-part video series exploring Summer Pockets, a journey through memory, loss, and the summers we carry. Across these 5 episodes, we'll follow Hairi through 5 summers. The island's summer, Kushima's summer, Tsumugi's summer, Ao's summer, and finally, Shiroha and Umi's summer. 5 stories, 5 wounds, 5 ways of learning how to say goodbye. And it all begins here, with the island that heals broken wings. Torishirojima, a quiet island somewhere off the Japanese coast. One ferry, one lighthouse, one shrine, a handful of houses and back roads and cicadas that never seem to stop. Hairi arrives with nothing but a small suitcase and an even smaller sense of direction. He's 17, tired, worn thin by expectations he couldn't carry, looking for an excuse. Any excuse to disappear for a while. So he takes the most mundane errand imaginable. Go clean out your grandmother's old storage shed on the island. But the moment he steps off the ferry, the world feels strange. He's hit with sudden deja vu, that odd sensation of remembering something that couldn't have happened. The sunlight looks familiar, the air tastes nostalgic, a white butterfly glides past him, shimmering, and something inside him whispers, "I've been here before." Summer Pockets doesn't open with plot, it opens with atmosphere. A softness, a warmth, like walking back into a dream you forgot. Because Torishirojima is not just a place, it's a threshold, a liminal space between memory and reality. Between the world of the living and the worlds we carry inside us. Between childhood and the future we are too afraid to face. Hairi doesn't recognize it yet, but the island does. When the grandmother meets him at the pier, she doesn't greet him with a welcome or a smile. She asks, "Why does your heart hurt, boy?" She says it gently as she's not talking to him, but to every version of him that ever walked these shores. And this is where the story quietly reveals its truth. Hairi Takahara did not come to the island on purpose. He came because he didn't know where else to go. Underneath his casual teenager grin, Hairi carries the failure of dropping the baton in a relay, teammates who encouraged him but whom he still feels he betrayed, memories of his parents arguing behind closed doors, a sense of being out of place at home, in school, in his own life, and the fear of becoming someone who only ever runs away. He calls himself a wounded bird, and even if he meant it as a joke, there is sincerity hidden in that. He feels like someone who once knew how to fly, who once knew how to enjoy a summer, to feel sunlight without guilt, but somewhere along the way, his wings broke. And so he arrived here, to the one place that feels like it's waiting for him. The magic of Summer Pockets is that it never points at its mysteries, it lets you feel them. From the very beginning, Locals call him by the wrong last name. Kids repeat lines that Hairi himself said earlier, as if time is echoing. A lighthouse girl hums a tune he somehow remembers. Shiroha stares at him like he's a face from an old dream. A white butterfly keeps appearing at turning points. The past feels too close and too alive. Even simple conversations feel off. When Hairi orders a meal and gets something unexpected, the cook laughs. Chicken and egg, they die together. That's why it's happy. A strange line, almost comedic. But this is how the island speaks. Through metaphor, through superstition, through symbols that only make sense once you have lived its summers. Nothing is explained. Everything is felt. Because Torishirojima isn't a puzzle box. It's a memory box. And Hairi has only just started opening it. Visual novel routes usually branch into separate universes, but Summer Pockets treats each route not as a what if, but as a memory pocket. A summer preserved somewhere out of reach. A summer that existed. A summer that mattered. A summer that healed a different wound. Each girl represents one way Hairi needs to heal. Kushima teaches him how to feel childhood again. Tsumugi teaches him how to cherish time that won't last. Ao teaches him the weight of memory and the joy of carrying it. Shiroha and Umi teach him how to face the future and release the past. And threading through all of them is a single uncanny figure. The fairy grandma, the island's mysterious elder. She's not Hairi's grandmother, she's not part of the storage shed subplot, she's something else entirely. A watcher, a threshold guardian, a woman who speaks in the riddles Hairi creates because she's touching more than one summer at once somehow. She's the only character who perceives the multi-route reality. She sees all the versions of Hairi at the same time, and every time she speaks, it feels like she's talking to a Hairi we haven't met yet. Her comments are fragments of foreshadowing, echoes from routes not yet lived. She's the island's memory made human in some way. Before the supernatural blossoms, before butterflies reveal their souls, before liminal fields and impossible timelines intertwine, Summer Pockets gives us something profoundly simple. The mundane. Breakfasts cooked by a cousin too small for the stove, afternoon ping pong, local slang you learn by accident, doskoi, seaside sunsets bleeding into orange, cicadas humming like a heartbeat, long walks back home for no reason at all. This is not a filler, this is healing. Because people don't fix themselves through grand revelations, we heal through gentler routines, small joys, and moments where someone sits beside us without asking why we look tired. Hairi forgot how to spend a summer. The island teaches him through these rituals, these quiet slices of life that slowly pull him back to himself. Summer Pockets isn't telling you a story, it's reminding you of a feeling we once had. Hairi's story has only just begun, because on this island, every person he meets will open a door to another version of summer, another memory he didn't know he needed, another piece of himself he thought he lost. And the first of those doors opens with a runaway suitcase, a pirate flag emblem drawn in childish determination, and a girl who smiles like she's been waiting 10 years for him to finally come back. Kushima Kamome, the girl who turns nostalgia into adventure, and a single childhood promise into a summer worth remembering. So next time in part 2 of this 5-part series, we will do Kushima's Summer of Lost Treasure. And, well, if this journey in part 1 resonated with you, the warmth, the mystery, the sense that the island is holding something just out of sight, then make sure you don't miss what comes next, because we have 5 summers, 5 stories, and 1 journey together. I'll see you sooner rather than later.